The lady yields back. This gentleman from Washington is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start by pointing out that at this point, Secretary Clinton has testified here for longer than she did in the previous two testimonies on this subject combined. We've been here now for 9.5 hours, and the questions are increasingly badgering. I would even go on to say increasingly vicious. And again, we're hoping to elicit information that will help us, learn what happened and learn how to prevent future attacks. And it seems to me that really what the majority is doing, that they simply wish to wear you down, and hopefully get you to say something that they can then later use. And I don't see the utility of that. When the chairman returns, I'd be curious as to if we just plan on going all night, continuing to badger the witness, or if there is in fact an end point to this, because I don't think it's fair to the witness to have to sit there for that long and go over intimate details. I mean, I guess we learned whether or not you had a fax machine, so I guess that was useful. But did you talk to this person? Did you talk to that person? Was this person there? Was the other person there? And let me just say, I'm very impressed by the number of answers you have and by the memory you have of all the details of this event. But I hope we will consider how much longer we're going to continue to do this. And as to the last line of questioning, I mean, to imply that you didn't care about your personnel. How many countries, how many different embassies, different consulates did you visit during your time as Secretary of State? Roughly. I know you don't know that off the top of your head.
Well, at least 112. And I think more than that because I sometimes visited the embassy itself plus a consulate in a country that I was in.
And can you give us a flavor? I know you went at one point to the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo because I have an interest in that area, which is a very dangerous place to be. Can you give us a flavor for some of the places where you visited your personnel?
Well, Congressman, I did go to the Democratic Republic of Congo. I went to Eastern Congo because of the horrific violence there and the particularly unstable situation in that region. I obviously went to Yemen, and I have made many trips to Afghanistan and Pakistan and had the opportunity to visit our diplomats and our development experts in dangerous places. One of the places that is particularly hard now is Iraq, and it was hard then. Egypt during the revolution was very challenging, and there I came under giant protests against the United States, against me personally. On a visit to the consulate in Alexandria, my team was pelted with tomatoes and shoes and other insults hurled at us, which put a lot of pressure on the diplomatic security. I obviously went to Tunis and worked hard to help support Tunisia, and they, as of now, seem as though they are working toward some kind of resolution. I visited Beirut. I was in Jordan and in Turkey numerous times during the uprising against Syria. So I think that it's a long list, and it's by no means a complete one.
And let me just say that the line of questioning recently has been basically implying that you don't care.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
You were able to find $20 million to support increased security forces in Libya, yet we weren't able to find money to support your own people on the ground.
Okay, there's no other way to interpret what we just heard, is to say, oh, you didn't make this phone call, you didn't talk. Well, what month, what day, what time? Did you really care? Did you visit them 3 times or just 2? Okay, the line of questioning is implying that you don't care. And there are 2 things that are troubling about that. First of all, you do, or you wouldn't be doing this, or you wouldn't be representing the people that you do and doing the jobs that you did. But second of all, whether or not you care has nothing to do with learning what happened in Benghazi and how to solve the problem. So all the while, and I was chastised last time for claiming that the majority was trying to be partisan, and then we got a recitation of your political back and forth about how to talk about, who should get credit for Libya, being chastised for that. But it is clear that they are trying to attack you personally. And I really wish that we could focus on the issues instead of that. But to get into that level of questioning, I think is not helpful to this committee. It's not even helpful to the Republicans, for that matter. It's clear that you care. And I'll simply go back to where we've been a couple of times. Tell us again, how many embassies do we have in the world?
More than 270 countries we're represented in.
Right. And on some level, the Secretary of State, Secretary Kerry now, you before, is responsible for all of them.
That's right.
And how many personnel, roughly?
70,000 between the State Department and USAID.
And you're responsible for all of them as well.
That's true, Congressman.
Okay, can any human being on the face of the planet protect every single one of them every second of every day?
Well,
that's a rhetorical question.
We can try. We can try. And, Congressman, we have, as I just said, 270 consulates and embassies. We are represented in 194 countries. Some of them are very friendly to us. Some of them are our adversaries. But I do want to pick up on the point you're making because I really appreciate it very much, Congressman. I care very deeply about the people who serve our country.
You were able to find $20 million to support increased security forces in Libya, yet we weren't able to find money to support your own people on the ground.
I worked with them. I knew them. I saw them in action. On my last full day as Secretary of State, we were able to hold a ceremony awarding the 5 diplomatic security agents the highest award for heroism that the State Department has to offer. We held it then because we wanted to be sure that the 5th man could be there because he'd been in the hospital for so long. And he was able to be there. I got a chance to meet their families. I got a chance all at once, not just individually, but all together, to thank them and commend them for their heroism. And I'll tell you, the agent who had been in the hospital all those months, as I was leaving, he called me over. He said, "Secretary, please do everything you can to make sure I get to go back in the field." And I told him I would. And it was one of the requests I made on the way out the door. He was determined to go back, to do what he could to protect our diplomats, to protect you when you travel. And I was so struck then, as I had been so many times before.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
About the quality and the integrity and the courage of those Americans who serve us, whether in uniform or out. I care very deeply about each and every one of them.
Thank you.
What difference at this point does it make?
And if you have one other point to make, do you happen to know where the CIA director, General Petraeus, was when the second attack happened on the CIA and where he went? Well,
no, I do not. I don't know where he was when I reached him and spoke with him.
Yeah, he was home, operating out of a skiff. And after the attack, he continued to operate out of that skiff, which again is why this would be a far more productive investigation if we actually had the CIA director and DOD, instead of trying to pick apart every single solitary thing you said or did during the course of this, and sometimes even going before and after that. If we actually were trying to get to the truth of this, we would have a broader array of people to talk to so that we could get there, instead of picking you apart at every conceivable turn. You know, we've gone back and forth. I just want to make one other point. Congressman Jordan, you know, I like you. I have a great deal of respect for you. But this, you know, whole going back twice now to the some have implied that this was because of a video. Somehow you just substitute the word some for I. And think that there's no difference whatsoever in that sentence. And that's mind-boggling. I mean, and to badger over and over and over and over again. Why did you say it was because of the video? Well, I didn't. Why did you say it was because of the video? Well, I didn't. Why did you say it was because of the video? You know, I guess this can go on for another 6 or 7 hours, but I think we all understand the English language. And when you say some have implied, that means, well, I guess it means that some have implied. Some others have implied. So, you know, it's just... very frustrating. I serve on the Armed Services Committee with Mac Thornberry, who's the chairman of that committee, and we disagree about a heck of a lot. But, you know, we have great arguments in that committee, but it never, ever comes close to descending to this level. Congress can, in fact, function. The House Armed Services Committee, under Buck McKeon's leadership before him, under Mac Thornberry's leadership now, and all of the members of that committee, they aggressively question administrative witnesses. And I've seen it, and we've gone back and forth and done it. But there is always an element of respect for the fact that we are all doing a very difficult job. You know, and anyone across this dais who's been in a tough campaign knows what it's like to have single thing you say, every single thing you do, every look that is on your face, everything that you wear, picked apart. It's not helpful. It's not helpful to the American public, and it's not helpful to the political process, and it's damn sure not helpful to the people who died in Benghazi or to their families. So I hope we can do better, and I hope that we can be done with the repetitive badgering after 9.5 hours, putting up with it for that long, and for your service.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?